Etienne. I am so excited to be here, but just before I get started, I have a little announcement to make. Honestly, I just want to tell you about a product. It's a very important product. In fact, it's the best product of its kind. This is coffee, but it's not just any coffee. This is the best coffee you will ever have. Not a coffee drinker? No worries. You still need this in your life. Now, I guarantee that this coffee will not only give you more energy, it will cure any ailment, and I promise it will make you look younger and more attractive. I gave some to my husband last week, and I think it's already working, but you are going to have to take my word for it. The thing is, this coffee I would normally sell for $30, but today, oh, do I have a deal for you. Today, if you buy this coffee from me and tell all your family and friends about it and help me sell more and grow my business, I'll do it for the very special price of $29.95. Now, here's what's going to happen. You don't even need me to buy this coffee, so I'm going to leave this just over here, and anyone that wants the coffee can just leave their money here and come and grab it. Don't even need to interact with me. How's that sound? Cool. What the heck was that? Just quietly, none of us want to be sold to like that. But that's not me, and I know that that's not you. The problem is that's how many people show up on social media today. They sell before they've earned the right to do it. Now, I'm here today to talk to you, yes, about social media, but I want to tell you something very important about social media and you. Many people assume that in order to be great at social media, you have to be technically savvy, and you don't. In fact, it's the biggest mistake I think people make today, is this assumption that in order to be great at social media, I have to be good at tech. Can I tell you something? Most people in this room didn't grow up with an iPad or a phone at their fingertips. Now, I'm not going to give my age away right now, but let me tell you, I didn't learn how to do anything technical until I was in year 12 of high school. And even then, I was only taught the basics of how to set up a Hotmail email address and send an email. So how did we all get to the point where we're able to use one of the most sophisticated computers in existence, which I guarantee every one of you has within arm's reach right now, without learning how to do it at school? You guys are probably 99% self-taught, which is pretty impressive in my book. So I'm going to tell you today a little bit about how to use social media to grow your business. But here's what I believe. I believe we need to stop communicating and start connecting. I believe that we need to start building real relationships, helping people to like, know, and trust us, because we all know that those are the people that buy from us. More importantly, the longevity of your business will come down to the relationships that you make. So, how did I end up here? Well, clearly by plane. But I wanted to just really quickly introduce myself. I am Sam. Oh, I think there's a book about that. I am from Australia. The accent isn't fake. And I thought, as I was listening to the intro today backstage, they put me on the wrong plane. You guys have got an Australian conference happening right now? That's hilarious. So I didn't know about this seriously till I got back to stage today, and I was like, I really seriously think they sent me to the wrong place. This is fantastic. So yes, my husband and I made the trip 15 and a half hours across the globe to be here today, which I'm so excited about. But, so there's a lot of pressure to do a good job. But the other thing is, I want to just really quickly tell you, something unique about Greg and I is that we teach social media, but exclusively in direct selling, meaning we only teach in this industry. Why is that? Well, I really quickly want to share a story with you. When I was 7 years old, my family went through a really nasty breakup, and my mum and sisters went one way, and I decided to go and live alone with my dad in a small country town in South Australia. Now, I was 7 at the time. I didn't know my dad terribly well yet, and Dad didn't know how to cook, how to keep house, and he definitely did not know how to bring up a little girl. So Dad and I learned to do life together. We learned to cook together, keep house together, and we became best of friends. But my dad was one of those businessmen that was always on struggle street. He was a business owner, and he was always on the verge of bankruptcy, to the point where he would get involved in almost every get-rich-quick scheme in existence. All failed miserably, and I was his shoulder to lean on. My dad never met anyone else, and so as his partner in life, he would come home and he would tell me all about his worries and stresses. So I was hearing things like, I don't know how we're going to pay for the mortgage this month, and I'm not sure where we're going to find the groceries this week. And I vividly remember the day he showed me, I was watching TV, and I saw an insurance ad for house insurance, and let's face it, they're never positive. And I turned to my dad and I said, we do have house insurance, right? To which he said to me, well, of course not. How would we pay for that? I lost a lot of sleep for the next few weeks. And that for me was the pivotal moment where I made the decision, I need to take some financial responsibility in this house. Now, there was something else going on at that time. This was a really big deal. I was 13, about to turn 14, and if I wanted to be anyone in this world, you might remember the time too, I had to own my own pair of Doc Martens and Levi jeans. And there was only one way I was going to get those. So I tried starting up my own company. Didn't work. I then tried to get myself a job, but at 13, almost 14, I was too young and legally unemployable in Australia. Then I came across a company that didn't care about how old I was. It didn't care about my technical ability. It didn't care about my experience. It didn't care how smart I was. It was willing to give me a try no matter what. And so at 14, I started my very first direct selling business. Now, this company, this business, this industry taught me a lot. And through relationship building for the next 2 years, I built myself an incredible business. By the time I was 16 years old, my income had surpassed that of my dad's. I had an income that 16-year-olds can only ever dream of. I was one of the top 10 consultants in the country in the company that I was with, and I always had the latest pair of Doc Martens shoes and Levi jeans. So at 18, my dad sits me down and he says, Sam, it's time you have to go out and get yourself a real job. My dad didn't see the value of this industry. And at the time, I was really grumpy about it. I didn't want to do it, but I'm so grateful today that he did, because it put me where I am right now. I went out and I started a sales and marketing career. Some very fun stories in there for another day. But I learned the psychology of selling. I learned how to communicate between business and consumer, and I learned how to broadcast. I ended up working for one of the biggest print marketing companies in Australia for almost 11 years, and I was the top of my game. I was in charge of training over 250 staff, and I was the best performer of almost any company in comparison. But in 2009, something happened. We hit a shift. Suddenly, our world went from one form of marketing, which was broadcasting, which is one way. Here's what I have, buy it from me. Here's what I want you to do, book with me or join me, to two-way marketing, social media. And in 2009, I had to make a decision. You see, I'd been trained in traditional marketing. I was very comfortable with it. I was very good at it, but things were changing. And so at that point, I could see that there were two roads. Road number one was over here, where I could stay in my comfort zone, my little bubble. Who recognises that bubble? And if I stayed in my comfort zone, I knew I was eventually going to get overtaken. Or I could make the decision to come over here, get out of my comfort zone, try something new. Problem was that there wasn't a university education at that time that would help me with this new world I was in. And so I had to invest in myself. And so I spent the next 12 months teaching myself everything I needed to know. I spent over $50,000 in learning. I came over here to the US, I learned from Facebook themselves, I spent time with the best in the industry. I soaked up every webinar, every training, every course I possibly could. And then when I went back home, I realized something. Now I had all this knowledge, but I could see that there were other struggling business people who didn't, and they didn't know what to do with it. And so I started to teach as quickly as I was consuming. And so our business was formed. Our company is called Oxano, which is a Greek biblical word that means to cause to grow and become greater. And that's what we're here to help you do. But 5 years ago, I made the decision. I loved that video that I saw before. You could already be a hero and you don't know it yet. Do you know this industry changes lives every day? It makes my heart sing. The stories I get to hear, the people I get to meet. This industry changed my life. And it's changed the lives of many of you here in this room. But it's also through you that it's changing lives of others. And I get to be a part of helping you to do that. And that just makes my heart sing. This industry showed me several things. It showed me that courage and confidence comes from within. You already have everything that you need. The question is whether you're going to use it. I can give you all this knowledge today. I can teach you everything you need to know about social media step by step. But you have to pick the tool up. You have to use it and implement it. The other thing that this industry taught me is that your business is as powerful as the relationships that you build. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. I'm going to share with you, and these fun-looking people up on the screen here are actually my beautiful kids, and Greg. Well, technically I've got 5 kids really when you think about it. And we also get the absolute blessing and honour to be able to travel around with them and show them that they're capable of doing anything in this world that they want to do. And a few months ago, they got to come to an event just like this and meet some people who were doing exactly that. And they were blown away. Today, I'm going to share with you the 3 keys to not just master social media, but master many areas of your business. Most importantly, your relationship building process. So you guys ready to have some fun together? Yeah. Well, I'm going to start off with a little activity. Do you trust me yet? Ooh, that was very quiet. I like to be super interactive. Is that okay? Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do, please trust me, I won't hurt you. I want to do a little exercise with you. This is a little visualization process. So what I'd like to ask you to do right now is get anything off your lap that you've got on your lap, pop your feet flat on the floor. This is my permission to take your shoes off if you can, kick them off for a sec. If they smell, don't. And close your eyes. Close your eyes for me, and I want you to take a couple of really deep breaths. Don't worry about anyone around you right now. Now I want you to picture yourself. It's New Year's Eve, 2023. It's about to tick over to 2024. With your eyes closed, I want you to see the wall in front of you. And you can see the clock just getting closer to midnight. Picture where you are. Are you at a party, a glamorous event, a barbecue? Are you in your backyard with friends, family? Are you in your lounge room? Where are you right now? Who's around you? What are you wearing? Do you have a drink in your hands? What is it? See yourself in this place right now. Now, as you look around you, I want you to catch the eye of someone special nearby and give them a little smile. Because as you do that, I want you to realize in your heart that you just had your most successful year yet. Your 2023 was your best year yet. You achieved a goal, a major goal, that back in March, when you set this goal, it felt a little scary. You maybe didn't know if you could achieve it. But here you are, right here, right now, and you did it. It is done. I want you to feel what it feels like to know that you achieved your most successful year yet. You achieved this goal on your terms. You did it. And you're about to go into a new year on a whole new level. Who else is impacted by you achieving this goal? Family? What friends? Customers? Team? What is the ripple effect of you stepping up and having this amazing year that was 2023? You realize right in this moment that it wasn't a maybe, it was a must that you did this. I want you to think about what that goal was. And then think to yourself about, how does that feel? Feel it in your heart. What does it feel like to know that you did it? You did this on your terms. Now I want you to slowly open your eyes in that space and write down on your piece of paper in front of you, what was that goal? And then what were the 3 things you felt, the first emotions that you felt when you knew that you'd achieved it? I don't want you to worry about how you're going to do it. I don't want you to worry about if it's possible. Forget about that. Right now, I want you to write down, what was that goal that came to mind? And how did it feel when you knew it was achieved? Now, why on earth am I talking to you about this? That's a great question. But here's the thing. One of the biggest mistakes I see people making is that they go into social media without a goal. You need to know, in order to do this successfully, where you're going. Why are you doing it? What are you here to achieve? And how are you going to measure its success? Because your time is one of your most precious commodities. You can't get it back. And we all know social media can be a really time-consuming activity. So I want to make sure that as you go into this, you know why you're doing it. Now, I'm going to also ask you to be really honest with me today, because I want to talk to you about 4 key fears that hold us back from social media success. Now, Greg and I have worked just in the last 2 years alone with over 167,000 distributors, teaching them how to use social media to grow their businesses. And again and again and again, we see the same 4 fears getting in people's way, not just of them being successful at social media, but often all areas. So here's what I want you to do. If you would be so willing, there is exercise in this presentation. I think it's time you got out of your seats. So what I'm going to ask you to do, if you're capable, as I go through these fears, I'd like for you, if you have ever experienced or are currently experiencing any of these, to stand up out of your seat, just where you are, just pop up and stay standing for me in a little moment. Okay? We've got a deal. I do have prizes. There are bribes. Yep. Just checking. So here's the first one. Have you ever, or do you currently have a fear of pestering or hounding or hassling family and friends? Maybe you haven't shown up on social media. Maybe it took you a while to get started in your business, or maybe right now you're afraid of putting your business out there because you don't want to be that person. That's not even Sam. We're going to call her Samantha. I was Samantha when I was in trouble, so we're going to call her Samantha. The next one is this. Stay standing for me, please, and stand up if you've ever felt that social media feels a little bit like wasting time and getting no results. Doing everything you're meant to do. Stay standing if you stood up for the first one. Don't sit down. Ever felt like you're doing everything you think you're meant to do, everything you've been told to do, and it's like you can hear crickets chirping every time you post? Next one is this. Stay standing and stand up if you have a fear of failure. What if I get it wrong? And a fear of comparison. You're watching other people on social media that are seemingly doing it really, really well, and you think, I'm going to be more like that and less like me if I'm going to be successful at this. And then you do one of 2 things. You either mimic them or you do nothing at all. Stay standing for me. The last one is this. Who's ever had an experience of overwhelm when it comes to social media? Yep, and the rest of the room stands up. I don't know where to start. Everyone's told me what to do. And I just don't know what to do next. In fact, some of you, when you heard there was going to be a social media person up here, felt that overwhelm just thinking about what I was going to talk to you about. Oh, and the last few people stand up. Now, what I want you to do is look around the room and notice something. You are not alone. Everyone, almost, there's probably, 95% of the room is standing right now. So thank you very much. That's the exercise for today. You can take your seats. I appreciate you all. That's a bit of trust right there. Do you know, I used to hate it when someone would make me do that, but I'm not in the audience today. So here's the thing. Growth and success comes from stepping into the unknown, whether you have a fear or not. What's really interesting is the difference between earning a 6-figure income and a 3-figure or no income at all, is that those people have simply got over those 4 fears. So what I want to do with you is help you to get around them, over them, and through them, so that these fears now become simply an awareness. I'm aware, and I'm going to step into it anyway. But we are going to teach you how to not hassle family and friends. In fact, we're going to show you how to reach new leads, new networks, and grow your business exponentially. So, we should talk about social media, hey? Let's talk about social media in 2023. And in order for me to teach you a little bit about this, I'm first of all going to have to talk to you about what's going on behind the scenes. Hands up if you've heard of the algorithm and you have no idea what it really is. Okay. I'm going to give you an explanation now that's going to make sense to all of you, and you will never have to hear anyone give you this explanation again. I'm going to keep it as simple as possible because that's all you ever need. In 2009, in that year that I had my little crossroad, was also, ironically, the year that Facebook made a big shift. In 2009, Facebook recognised it was becoming a very busy environment. Businesses had cottoned onto the fact that they had a captive audience on their platform, and so they were actively promoting products, services, and business opportunities like mad. And it became a very spammy environment, and people began leaving the platform in droves. Facebook recognised that if it was going to keep its platform and it wasn't going to become a MySpace, it was going to have to adapt and become smarter. Did you catch that? So it did 2 things. The first thing it did was it introduced business pages to segment the content. But the second thing that it did was to bring into play a program that operates in the background of Facebook called the algorithm. Now, every social media platform now has its own version of the algorithm, just to be clear, and they all work in very similar ways. So it introduced this program in the background of Facebook, and its sole job is to learn everything there is to learn about you and me. It learns things like what websites we go to, what we do for a living, who we're friends with and what sort of conversations we have with them, if we have pets, what our family life looks like, what we're interested in, if we have kids, how old they are and how many we have, and even our household income. It uses all of this information to decide exactly what content to deliver you where and when, with the intention of keeping you on the platform for longer and more frequently. So to put this into really simple terms, your Facebook and Instagram feed are customized to you like a fingerprint. There are no two the same, and it was made for you and you alone. This is why when you go to Facebook and you think, I'm just going to look at one reel, you're already laughing, and an hour later you pull yourself out of the rabbit hole. Hands up who's done that. A few other people are telling fibs. We've all done that because it knows you better in many cases than you know yourself. So why am I telling you this? Because every post you put out there is being filtered by this algorithm that's deciding who to show it to. So it's in your best interests, number 1, to work with it. Number 2, to know what your audience wants, because that's what it's looking to deliver. So if there was one thing I left you with today, it's going to be get to know them intimately. Get to know your dream customers, your ideal customers, and know how to serve them. So what in fact is the algorithm looking for? Let me tell you a little secret. If anyone ever tells you, I'm going to get controversial here for a minute. If anyone ever tells you, I'm going to teach you how to beat the algorithm, I want a red flag to go up in the back of your mind. This is the most sophisticated piece of software in existence. When you're trying to beat it and work against it, it will come back to bite you. The bottom line is, whether you agree with it or not, what this algorithm is looking for, when you work with it, it's going to do the hard work for you. It will work for you. So, what is it looking for? Well, I'm going to tell you, there's a lot that it's looking for, but I'm going to give you a couple of tips today for some of the things that are going to help you right now in 2023. One of those things is conversational content. Facebook, or Meta, so Facebook and Instagram, are very focused right now on healthy conversation, mental health, connecting, and community, which is great because that's what you do in this industry. So conversational content means encouraging people to interact on your posts. Ask questions, interact with them. It's also looking for real, relatable, and human, which is user-generated content. Posts that you create, captions you write, unique content. Adam Mosseri, the head of Instagram, said last year and was very quickly followed up by Mark Zuckerberg, they both said that they will reward people who create their own content because it's unique, it's real, it's relatable, and they don't have the same thing floating around over and over and over again on social media. It's also looking for consistency. Now, whilst Meta are looking for consistency, so are your fans and followers, and I want to tell you a little tip here from Marketing Sam. Consistency is key to being remembered. Do you know, social media, I've observed a huge shift just in the last 12 months. I really believe social media is not being used right now the same way it was a year ago. Let me put it this way. You know that thing I talked about before, where you go in to look at one reel and an hour later you pull yourself out of the rabbit hole? I did that last week. I thought, I'll just look at one reel. An hour later, can't believe I wasted that time. I pulled myself out and I realized something. In that time, I had consumed a good 20, 30 reels. And I hadn't commented on, interacted with one. And that was completely unintentional. The thing is, think about how you use social media now. As you sit there on the couch at night and you're scrolling, how much stuff are you commenting on? How much stuff are you interacting with? How much stuff are you responding to? So why do we expect our customers to do differently for us than what we do for them? So I'm going to tell you a little secret. Just because they're not interacting doesn't mean they're not paying attention. It doesn't mean that because someone didn't interact, they won't remember what you put up. They won't see it. It won't have an impact. So the first thing we have to remember is consistency is key. And they've got a really cool story around this. I'm not going to share now. You may hear it a little later on. The last one is this. And I've heard a couple of people mention this today. Share, don't sell. You will get picked up by that algorithm for being spammy if you directly sell on social media. And I'll tell you a little secret, your customers don't really like it either. Did anyone appreciate this over here by Samantha earlier? No, that wasn't attractive. In fact, I made sure that the doors were locked before I did that because I was afraid you might leave the room. Share, don't sell. And we've got to start putting social back into social media because at the end of the day, social media isn't everything. It's not the be-all and end-all, and I'm not here to tell you that this is everything. I don't want any of you to take your business and put it 100% online. Social media is a tool, a powerful tool, but it's that. You guys are in a relationship business. So I'm going to give you a few little tips to create content that your audience can't ignore. You ready for that? First one is people buy from those they like, know, and trust. Now, you've all heard that, right? Yes. So I'm going to ask you a very important question. Can someone shout out to me, what is it that you're selling? Ooh, lots of people shouting out. Can I get a hands up that I can see? What is it that you're selling? What makes your business unique? This gentleman here? Yourself. First one was the right answer. Okay. Honey, can you do a little runner for a prize? Are you around here somewhere? I said earlier yesterday, actually, I'll tell you a really funny story. I said, if I'm going to give away some prizes today, I'm going to get Greg to run them. And someone, here you go. And someone, I think it was Mike, went, can't do that. I said, no, Greg will be fine. He'll run my prizes around the room. And he went, I don't think he will. And I said, my husband. He was like, oh, thought you meant Greg Provenzano. So, it's in our DNA to sell first, but it doesn't work. And this gentleman very, very wisely said, you are selling yourself. Do you know that people are buying you? They're buying what you're passionate about. They're buying what you care about. They're buying your story and your journey. How many of you are in the habit of selling yourself on social media? A couple of you. The bottom line is that needs to be our focus, because people can get your services from lots of places. They can join your business through lots of people. Look how many people are in this room right now. But they come to you because they connect with you and they want what you have. So, the first step of successful social media implementation is to understand that social media is first about attracting people and meeting them first. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about dating your customers today, and I'm just promising you I don't mean this in an inappropriate way at all. You'll know what I mean by the end of it. But what I'm going to encourage you to do is think about this as a dating process. Before you go on a date, you need to meet someone first. Before you get married, you need to date. Some people. So first, we attract people on social media. Now, there's lots of ways to attract people on social media. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty too much right now. But I do want you to understand that there are many, many tools that we can show you to do this. You'll notice I've put here providing value. First and foremost, we need to know what they care about and provide them value. And we also, one of the oldest sales tools in the book is establishing commonality. What do you know about your audience, your customers, your dream customers, and what do you have in common with them? And how can you establish that commonality? And most importantly, insert your personality, take your own pictures, write your own captions, and be authentic. Now, this doesn't mean you don't share stuff. It doesn't mean you don't use images, captions, etc. provided to you by ACN or your leader or anyone else in the company. What it means is you need to insert your personality as well. We're going to talk to you about recipes in just a minute. But first, I have a very important question to ask you all. And I need everyone in the room to take this very seriously. But it's hypothetical. So I don't want anyone to be hyperventilating when I ask this question. No rocking in the corner. It's hypothetical, but I want you to answer it anyway, okay? If you had to give one of these up and keep the other one for the rest of your life, so you can only keep one for the rest of your days on this planet Earth, which would you choose? Are you ready? Coffee or chocolate? All right, hands up, coffee people. Who would keep coffee and ditch chocolate? Where the heck were you at the beginning of this presentation? Wouldn't it have been very easy, and that coffee is still sitting there, by the way, wouldn't it have been very easy for me to assume, or sorry, for Samantha to assume, that the reason no one bought from me is because they don't care about the product I have and they're not interested? Had nothing to do with that. What if I now told you, and this is true, by the way, that is the best coffee you'll ever have, simply because I get this roasted and ground, especially every time I travel, from a local roaster, coffee roaster, just below my office in Launceston, Tasmania. Every time I go anywhere, I bring some extra bags of these coffee beans to give as gifts, and everyone I give them to says it is like the most amazing coffee they've ever had. What if I told you that? All right, let me talk to the chocolate people now. Chocolate, hands up. All right. Coffee people, I love you. Oh, this is so funny. Look, see? Round of applause. That was in my last bag. You enjoy that coffee. Okay. Coffee people, I love you, but you can kind of twiddle your thumbs and switch off for a little minute, because right now I'm talking to my chocolate friends. We have something in common. I too love chocolate, but I love good quality, unique chocolate. Now, I'm really lucky because 45 minutes up the road from where I live in a little town called Latrobe is a chocolatier called Ivor. Now, Ivor wanted to create something really special. And so he traveled the globe on a hunt for a rare cocoa bean that was rumoured to be extinct. But he had heard that 10 years ago, 2 explorers had located 24 of these trees on the mountains in Peru. So Ivor travelled the globe and he located these trees. Now these cocoa pods, this is Ivor, these cocoa pods are light purple and white in colour, very unique, very rare. He brought them home and he married them together with milk from local grass-fed cows and created what is considered to be the world's rarest chocolate. Now, for me to explain this chocolate to you, I wouldn't be doing it justice, but let me give it a crack. This chocolate is rich, it's decadent. It is unlike any chocolate you've ever tasted. It's fruity, but although it is very high in cocoa content, it doesn't have any of the bitterness or tannins. That's what makes this chocolate so special. It is incredible, and people travel all over the globe to visit him to get this chocolate. I, however, am very lucky, and sometimes I will go for a 45-minute drive to get my coffee, and of course I'll come back with some chocolate. Now let me ask you a question. How many of my chocolate friends are left with more questions about this chocolate than they have answers right now and would really like to ask me a couple of questions? Perhaps, where can I get it? What's it called? How much is it? How many coffee people are now wanting chocolate? I love that. Here's the thing. Someone came out here earlier and told to everyone in the room, didn't care about who she was speaking to, spoke to everyone, didn't share stories, didn't establish commonality, and told you everything you needed to know. First of all, you need to get to know your tribe. You need to know who you're talking to. When you know who you're talking to, you will never ask again, what should I post next? The other thing is, you want to know what they want and then almost give it to them. Over here, I told you everything you needed to know about that coffee, how much it was, where you could buy it from, what it did, what it contained, everything. But over here, when I talked to you about the chocolate, I simply shared an experience and a story. And I didn't tell you where you could get it, how much it cost. Why? Because it's about building relationships. And now, you're going to come to me and ask a question. I've got so many fun stories about this tactic and technique, so powerful, but let me just tell you a little tip. Don't give the farm away. So once you attract people and you meet them first, the next is to relate and be authentic, which means we want to date them. Now, I'm going to ask you another question. I want you to be really honest with me right now, because I'm about to bare a bit of my soul and I don't want you to leave me hanging. Who has ever written out a list of attributes they're looking for in their perfect future partner in life? Okay, you guys are amazing. Do you know there's been a few times I've asked that question and everyone's just sat there like this going, I'm not admitting to that. So I've done this twice in my life. Both times were before I met my husband, Greg, I promise. The last time I wrote this out, actually, who wants to meet Greg? All right. Greg, can I borrow you for a second? You. I like it when you're silent. This is Greg, everyone. Greg, this is everybody. Now, Greg, can I ask you to stand over there really awkwardly for me, please? This is going to be very awkward. Thank you. Now, the last time I wrote out one of these lists, I wrote out things like, I want him to be tall, dark, and handsome. I got tall and handsome. He needs to be confident. He needs to have a good job or career focused. He needs to be interested in the things I'm interested in, like good food and wine. He needs to be social. All very superficial things, but interestingly, things we should get to know about our audience. Now, imagine for a moment I have this list. I fold it up and I pop it in my back pocket. And now I'm going to a party. This part never happened, by the way. This is hypothetical. But let's just say I'm going to a party and I've got my list in my back pocket and I am on the hunt. I'm ready to go find my future husband. I've got the checklist in my head. And I'm looking around the room I'm scoping the room out, and then I look over to my right, and I see this guy. And he's wearing a good suit, so he's clearly successful. He's surrounded by a group of people, he's talking to them, so he's social, tick. He is tall, dark, and handsome. And he's holding a glass of wine in one hand, and as the tray goes past, he reaches for an oyster. And I think, that's my guy. So what would I do next? What if I did this? Hi. Will you marry me? Now, I like how awkwardly you laughed just then. Thank you, honey.
I promise I'll tell the real story later.
Yeah. In real life, there should be a Greg-shaped hole in that wall over there. But the bottom line is, this is how many of us show up on social media. Here's my service, buy it from me. Here's my business, join me. And it doesn't work. Because first, we need to date. Thank you very much, honey. Round of applause for Greg. No prizes for you, though, sorry. Later. Okay. Oh, he missed that. Okay. So first we have to date them, which means we need to get to know them. So how do we date them? Well, there are lots of ways. The first thing is provide value. If you go on a date, you get to know them as much as they get to know you. You talk about things they care about, right? I hope you don't just sit there and talk about yourself the whole time. The other thing that you do is you interact. Don't post and ghost on social media. Interact. That's kind of like sitting at a table in a romantic restaurant, going on a date, talking about yourself, and then when it's their turn to talk, you kind of look around the room and pay them no attention at all. Interact on social media, one of the biggest things that people get wrong. And lastly, I think I've mentioned the C word, consistency. You don't go on one date and then wait a year before you go on another one. You consistently show up. You consistently interact. You consistently provide value. So attract people, relate, and connect. A really important thing to remember is this. Your customer's favourite subject is themselves, and every human's favourite word in their vocabulary is their own name. So I'm going to ask you a little question. Who thinks it would be a gift to have somebody walk by your side, hold your hand, and show you exactly what to post on social media, where and when, to give you the ideas, give you the inspiration, give you the support for 7 whole days to help you master this? Who thinks that would be a gift? Well, have I got a surprise for you? Your amazing leaders at ACN have invested in you and are engaging Greg and I to do the 7-day done for you social media post challenge. So, what does this mean? Over the course of 7 days, Greg and I are going to show you how to effectively use your profile group and business page. We're going to show you how to attract new leads. We're going to show you how to engage and build the relationship with your audience. We're going to show you best practices and, of course, how to save time, because I don't want you spending more time on social media. I want it to be productive time. And last but definitely not least, we're going to get to know you, answer your questions, and support you all the way through. Greg and I and our team are literally going to walk by your side for 7 days, starting on the 27th, I think I got that right, of this month. So here's the really great thing. We're not going to tell you the one and only way to do social media, because there isn't one way. We're going to help all of you create your own recipe, find your own voice, and be authentically you. And if there's one thing I can tell you today, it is that you are the key. You being you. We're going to show you various post strategies across this period of time that are going to help you do all of these things. And then we're going to receive millions of testimonials from you guys, just like this one, telling us how incredible this has been for you and your business. Now, can I tell you, it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how experienced you are. or how tech savvy you are. Every single person here can get growth from this. But the question is whether you do the work. So how is this going to work? How do you get involved? Well, first of all, we're about to put a QR code up on the screen, which you can scan, which will register you for this challenge. It will cost you nothing. This is, like I said, been provided to you by your head office. Can I just get a show of 2 hands, everyone who's excited for this? So, you need to scan that QR code, and can I make this very clear? Invite your team, get as many people registered as you can. We are kitted up and ready to look after you guys and have some amazing fun together. Now, once you've registered, you'll then be invited to an exclusive ACN group that's a pop-up group for this challenge. That's where we're going to house everything. So join that group, and I've got something really exciting to tell you about this in just a minute. If that wasn't exciting enough, stay in your seats. We're going to do a kick-off training on the 27th of March, which is going to go for approximately 60 minutes, and then a Q&A afterwards. And during this kick-off, you've got to be there. During this kick-off, we're going to give prizes away because we do a lot of that. But we're also going to be showing you the core fundamentals of what you need to do to get your foundations right and to grow your following on social media, and most importantly, to grow your business. We're also going to show you exactly how the challenge will work so you can participate. And then each day for the 7 days, you only have to allow 10 to 15 minutes to participate. How great's that? It's not going to take you heaps of time. I know this sounds like it might. It's going to be quick, easy, but effective. And we're going to have a lot of fun together. So you ready for the QR code? Get out of the way. I don't want to go over there. That's where Weird Sam was. Let's do this. Right. There's the QR code, or get out of the road. Grab that QR code. Now make sure, if you need to take a photo and fill it in later, that's okay. Share this with your team. Let's get as many people registered as we can. And I'll tell you a little surprise here. I happen to have, here they are, some prizes, quite a lot of swag as a matter of fact, from, remember that rare chocolate? And 2 weeks ago, I was so overjoyed when I saw this. 2 weeks ago, Ivor released a book sharing his adventures and stories and his best recipes. So I brought one with me. It weighed a lot in the luggage, but it's here. Tomorrow, Greg and I are going to wander around and we're going to give some prizes to people that have registered for this challenge. So you need to be in the group because we're going to announce it in the group. And I'm going to meet you in person, give you your prize tomorrow. Sound cool? We've got a stack in our hotel room to give away. But you've got to be in it to win it. So get registered. Now I want to leave you, just as I wrap up, with one of my favourite quotes. You guys need to be present over perfect. Don't focus on getting it right. To not fail is to not succeed. And the first most important thing for each and every one of you to remember is this. You need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. It was one of the wisest things that my very first ever business coach taught me, and she couldn't have been more on the money. As we wrap up, we hear in this industry that we need to have good intentions. We often wonder about whether we're worthy, whether we're smart enough, whether we're capable. Everyone here has good intentions, I know that. Everyone here is smart enough, and every one of you is worthy. But the question is whether you're ready to step up to the plate, to be brave enough to try something new. We often hear in this industry to dream big. We often hear people talking in direct selling about thinking big. But right now, it's time for each and every one of you to do big.